Wagwan, everyone. I hope you're doing well and welcome back to Tereak Talks here for a Premier League preview show. Hope you all have all had a great week, and it is Friday as we are streaming this. I'm back doing a live stream. Last week was a pre-record. Let me know your thoughts. Did you prefer the Premier League preview show as a pre-record where you was able to digest it a lot easier? And it was a lot shorter, probably about half an hour taken off. Shaven off because of all the waffling that I do and mix with you guys here in the chat. But I hope that you're all keeping well and welcome back to Tereak Talks. I'm looking forward to this Premier League preview show because we have two headline fixtures with Newcastle versus Arsenal, a difficult game for the Gunners away at St James's Park, who have had, you know, the opposite of weeks for each other, as Newcastle had a thrilling 3-0 result. Was it a thrilling game? But no, for them it is. I'm sure it was. But a 3-0 result away at Manchester United. And Arsenal were away to West Ham United and lost by 3-1. But we're also going to be talking about Tottenham versus Chelsea, which will be the final fixture that will conclude Premier League game week 11. And we're going to be talking about the other 8 fixtures: Luton versus Liverpool, Manchester City versus Bournemouth, and the situation going on at Manchester United as they head over to Craven Cottage. But before we begin, I am going to hit you with the intro, and then we'll get into the comments and then straight into the video. Well, the stream, the video, whatever time you're watching. But let's get into it, people. First of all, I just want to big up to each and every one of you that is here locked in, loaded right now. Really appreciate you tuning in. I will also be giving you the announcement for the winner of October's Predictor of the Month as well. Guys, we have entered a new month. We are into November now. So there is a new opportunity for one of you guys to win the Predictor of the Month. What you will need to do is enter your predictions into the comment section, but I'll explain that in a short moment. I just want to big up to everyone that's here in the chat right now. Big up to Shay in the building. Hope you're keeping well. Big up my brother Enz over at Enzman TV. You know how it is, people. You know, a Liverpool fan, but a very respectable one. Him and Savage over there do fantastic work and grind hard as well. Pause. But you know what I mean, people. Big up to T, my DM, and if he's, you know, the defensive midfielder, you know what I mean. I made my debut for Enzman TV's pro clubs. It wasn't streamed, but if you do see me on Enzman TV, that means that it was good. He says, have a great stream, bro. Might be on Pro Clubs tonight, 9:30, 10 p.m. If you're about, I won't be about tonight. I won't be, unfortunately. I'm watching with my sister later on. But I appreciate you for that, my bro. Big up to yourself and big up to the chat. Also, love to you, man, and big up. So go subscribe over to Enzman TV. Big up to Mr. 200 in the building saying good evening, Tereak, and good evening to the Tereak Talks fam. And there's me saying good evening to you all. I was late. Big up to Lard. Hope you're keeping well, lad. No shisha tonight. As I said to Enz, I'm going to be out watching some TV with my sister as well. Do you know what it is? We're going to be catching up on some Married at First Sight. That's exactly what we're going to be watching. I do enjoy the show. We do enjoy it. We have it's series binging. It's just Married at First Sight packs. So it is. I do enjoy it. I can't lie. It's better than Love Island. I can tell you that for sure. Built Hano in the place as well. Hope you're keeping good over at Coach's Corner. Love to see that. And big up to yourself as well, Pax. Love to see you in here in the chat. Before we get into predictions, just in case you are new, and if you've only recently subscribed, or if you've subscribed but you've not really tuned into a Premier League preview show, and you kind of like what you've been hearing at this moment in time, then I do implore you to listen to the instructions and how to enter the Premier League preview show. So all predictions must be entered before the first fixture of the game week, which is 12:30 tomorrow, Fulham versus Manchester United. I will make exceptions. If you do miss the deadline, then you won't if you enter the Fulham versus Manchester United prediction, and if it is after 12:30, you won't be valid, unfortunately, for that fixture. But if it's before Brentford versus West Ham, then yes, then you'll be the 3:00 kickoffs, then you'll be viable. But I will be counting it from there. Leave your predictions in the comment section at the end of the stream. So you can pop them in now. I'll read them out and your thoughts on each fixture as we discuss it. Feel free to do that. I'd love to do it anyway with you guys. But make sure if you want to be entered into the comment section, so it's just easier for me to collate them all and look at what people have predicted, and also when I do tally them up and then put them onto the scoreboard, which you'll see at the end of the stream. You'll get 3 points for correct score. So Newcastle versus Arsenal, you predict an Arsenal 2-0 win. Arsenal win by 2-0, you'll get 3 points. But if you predict a 2-0 win and Arsenal win by 1-0 or 2-1, 3-1, you will get 1 point for a correct score. But if you predict a 2-0 win and Arsenal lose or draw, you will get no points. Hopefully that makes sense. If you do have any questions, make sure you do ask me in the comment section, or ask me during the stream if you are unsure as well. We do have prizes for those at the end of the season. Of course, there'll be big prizes. There'll be multiple. It's not just for the winner. So make sure you stay engaged. And even if you're miles behind, if you join in later on, there's still got the Predictor of the Month prize that you can win. So make sure you enter for that as well. We're into a new month now. I will tell you the Predictor of the Month. If I haven't already said that, I'm sure I have. So make sure you stay tuned in, people. Before we do start, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Let's get into it. And we will start off with the first fixture, the headline one. It's not the first one. It's a 5:30 kickoff, and it is that difficult one for Arsenal away to Newcastle. As Mikel Arteta said earlier on in his press conference, one of the toughest places to go in the Premier League. And Arsenal did win there last season by 2-0, late in May, early May. Late in the season, when the pressure was starting to tell, Arsenal were chasing Manchester City at that stage, and that was just off the back of Arsenal beating Chelsea. But before that was off a poor run of results. We did lose to Manchester City by 4-1, and I did watch that with Lod as well. So yeah, it's just see Lod in the chat. She remembers me being very gutted on that Wednesday night after work, but yeah, Arsenal. We did win our last fixture there, but in the recent meetings at St James's Park, Arsenal before that faced Newcastle late in May, and that was when we was chasing the top 4, and we did lose by 2-0. Before that, we did. Usually, I'm just looking at a trend here. We usually travel to St James's Park in May, so this is earlier on this time. And in May 2021, Arsenal won by 2-0. So yeah, 2-0 was the favourable scoreline. So you might want to be entering that into the chat. But yeah, I will be honest when I'm talking about Arsenal here. I was very disappointed midweek against West Ham United. The worst performance of the season. And guess what? It feels like I've been saying that quite regularly. I remember the Spurs game. That was our worst performance of the season. We drew 2-2. The Chelsea game, that was our worst performance of the season. At that point, we drew 2-2. And then now I'm saying it about West Ham United. And Arsenal did lose that fixture, unfortunately. Our second loss in all competitions. We did lose to Lens in the Champions League. But that one against West Ham in particular was very disappointing. We were second best in the duels. Arteta mentioned that in himself, and the competitiveness, the intensity of the game. Arsenal usually have that. And yes, we did concede, 2 unfortunate goals, but the second one for West Ham was well worked from their point of view, but awful defensively with Zinchenko getting beaten over the top. And we have seen defensive lapses from Zinchenko in this season. We know that's an area that of his weakness, really, and something that teams can capitalize on. Although, with his strengths in Arsenal in possession, helping us progress the ball, there has been much more of an onus on him. And I've been chatting to King on Twitter in particular about this, because my biggest concern with Arsenal is going forward, is our chance creation, but mainly in that center of the pitch. And that's been a real cause of concern, because I will be honest, even with Declan Rice and all of his wonders and how good he is, and he has been Arsenal's best midfielder by a mile, it's not even close. And that's a bit worrying in itself that he's come into the Arsenal team. Big price tag. He has settled in well. You can take that. But when you're head and shoulders above your midfield counterparts, that's worrying. Because with Declan Rice, with all these qualities, progressing the ball isn't at the level of a Thomas Partey. He's not bad. He's a very good ball carrier, and he plays quite safe in possession. His main attributes, which has really helped us, is his defensive attributes with him in transition and out of possession. He's very good at reading the game and gives a lot of physicality and energy into Arsenal's midfield. But we are lacking that ball dominance and that ball progression with a pass that can break through the lines that we have been missing from Thomas Partey, as he hasn't been able to stay fit this season. And when he was fit, he was covering in at right back earlier on. And Arsenal haven't replaced that. And we've had our midfield woes with Martin Odegaard, whose form has dropped off really, and within a chance creation perspective. He scored against West Ham and he scored a few goals this season. But what we expect from Martin Odegaard is someone to be not necessarily our chief creator, because he's not the one who creates the most chances for Arsenal. Even that last season, he didn't do that. But he's someone who helps us very much in transition to make that pass before the final pass, whether it's to Bukayo Saka, to Martinelli, switching it out to Granit Xhaka, who we've missed, and his ball presence and how he progresses the ball through that midfield and his passing range. We just haven't had that from Kai Havertz. And it is a concern, because I thought that Kai Havertz's attributes would have been utilised differently from Arsenal perspective. An off the ball role, crossing it into the back post, using his aerial threat and his presence, which he typically scores most of his goals, and he did for Chelsea from the air as well, with his late runs into the box. But we haven't been able to play the likes of Kai Havertz with Jesus because of or Martinelli or Saka because of injuries at different points. But still, that shouldn't be the be all and end all from Arsenal creating chances from that perspective, because we've been quite fortunate when you look at the injury situation compared to other clubs. Newcastle, they have quite a few injuries themselves at the moment. Manchester United, Chelsea, we've been not as heavily affected as some other clubs have done in the Premier League. So yeah, it is quite poor, and these are real causes of concern now, because we're entering the 11th game week, and we're 10 games in already, so we've got a good sample size, and Arsenal should be starting to settle into the season really, and we should start seeing Arsenal really improve in that aspect, but we haven't. Defensively, Arsenal have been good, and that's one of the praises that I will say for Kai Havertz. It's kind of what we didn't really expect. As Arsenal fans, we kind of expected a bit of an improvement going forward with Havertz coming in for Xhaka, but maybe regressing slightly defensively. But that's actually been the opposite. Arsenal have looked better defensively because Kai Havertz is very good out of possession in counter pressing and winning the ball back, and the likes of Declan Rice too. Added into that midfield, but the chance creation and goals haven't quite been there. And it is a concern. And when I was looking at the stats going into this game, on the average chances created per match this season, Newcastle 2.7 and Arsenal 1.3. So Newcastle create almost more than double the amount of chances per game on average than we do. And that's a cause for concern. But of course, looking at us defensively, Newcastle pride themselves off of their defense. Average goals conceded per match, Arsenal 0.8 and Newcastle is 1.1. So there has definitely been an improvement. I think there was a great video from John McKenzie on Tifo Football. If you haven't seen it, I will recommend you to check it out. It's titled, "Are Arsenal worse this season?" It's not entirely the fact that we're worse, but we're very different. And it feels like when I'm watching Arsenal, when we do miss our chances, it feels like the whole that's it, missing a chance in the 90th minute. And these are some causes of concern that Arteta needs to find out and needs to address. For me, I would like for Arteta to move Zinchenko into midfield, move him into that left 8 position, move Kai Havertz up front, who provides us a target man. I do think it worked. I know Eddie Nketiah scored a hat-trick in the last game, and Arteta will probably remain with him there. And if he goes and scores tomorrow, I will hold my hands up. But Arsenal don't perform as well in terms of connecting with the midfielders, connecting with our wide men, our biggest threats in Martinelli and Saka, when Eddie Nketiah is up top, especially when Kai Havertz and Eddie Nketiah are in the same team. They both want to play this off the ball role where they want to make runs into the box and us to find them, and that leaves Arsenal with a lot less players to work with, and giving Zinchenko playing at left back more responsibility to advance us up the pitch, which I think has been which has been his, you know, problem defensively, because he's been so focused on in possession and progressing us up there. He's leaving even more space out of that left hand side. Because if you've watched Arsenal this season against Manchester United, against Chelsea, against West Ham, you see him in that right centre midfield space where are far away. You couldn't be any further away from his left back spot. And when there is a transition, opposition teams are able to cause us problems in those moments. There aren't many transitions, there aren't many troubles that we have to deal with. And that's why Arsenal have one of the best defenses this season. But we're not sacrificing, we're making that sacrifice there, but we're not reaping the benefits or the rewards. That's where my problems are. But Newcastle have been in great form of late, unbeaten in the last 5 themselves, with 3 wins and a draw and 2 draws in the Premier League. Of course, beat Manchester United, but they do have a few injury issues themselves going into it. I'll give you Arsenal's as well before I go into the predictions and how I think the game is going to go. So, of course, no Sandro Tonali due to suspension, no Harvey Barnes due to an ankle injury that he picked up earlier on. Jacob Murphy picked up a shoulder injury against Borussia Dortmund. Elliot Anderson out with a stress fracture to his lower back. Sven Botman picked up a setback with that knee injury that he had, so he's not going to be fit for this game. No Alexander Isak as well. They're one of their top goal scorers this season. I think he's now joint with Callum Wilson after he scored those 2 goals last weekend against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Fabian Schär should come back, though. He did miss out from the United game with an illness. Javi Manquillo and Matt Targett, the latest Newcastle player to pick up an injury. So they do have a few players out injured. And then one of the issues for Newcastle that what a lot of us fans have looked at, and even Newcastle, is their squad depth. That's their biggest issue that we look at for them so far. But they have performed well after a slowish start, after beating Aston Villa by 5-1. They've really picked it up of late. And Joe Willock is now back, and he's returned, and he scored against United in midweek. And that's a big plus for Newcastle with all those injuries, especially losing Sandro Tonali in that midfield. And I'm sure he'll want to have a big performance against his old side, against Arsenal. And with Arsenal, the injuries, we don't have many, but they are key and important players that we are missing in this game. Of course, no Thomas Partey and Gabriel Jesus, which Mikel Arteta said that Arsenal will be without them for the upcoming weeks. He hasn't put a time frame, which we've been hearing rumours of early December for both players to return, but no time frame has officially been outlaid by the club. We also have latest news of Emile Smith-Rowe, who also doesn't have a time frame, but he is out with a knee injury. With Partey and Jesus, they both have hamstring strains, which is not. Me and Paxton had a little conversation on Twitter earlier as well about that, and with the concerns of the amount of games that these guys are playing internationally and domestically with their clubs as well. So yeah, it is a worry. As Emile Smith-Rowe and Mikel Arteta did seem quite devastated about this injury in particular. As he said, it's a big worry for Emile Smith-Rowe, who yeah, was performing well in training, got his start against Sheffield United, and now he's out for weeks with a knee injury. And he's not specified what that knee injury is. So it's not great. And of course, Jurrien Timber's still out after he's tore his ACL. But how I think this game is going to go, guys, Arsenal, difficult place to go. Not great for our chance creation issues are certainly a worry. I'm going to be honest, man. If those of you have gone for an Arsenal defeat, I can totally understand it. But Arsenal haven't had a defeat in the Premier League this season. Fortunate, yes, against Chelsea. I will certainly agree with that. But it's good character shown to make sure they get something out of a game. If you do not win, don't lose. If you can't win, don't lose. That's a big message that's always been said for those who will become champions if Arsenal do reach those aspirations. But for Arsenal, for this one, they need to go and pick up a run of form and make sure they can continue to try and get wins if they are going to be competing for these big championships, big trophies, guys. And Newcastle away is one way to get the belief going within the fan base again. But difficult game, a physical side, one of the big teams that run the most, the hardest, intense pressers in the league, and they will certainly have the crowd on their side on a Saturday night. But I do think it's going to be a difficult occasion. I have gone with a 1-1 draw here. I went for a 2-1 Arsenal. I switched between a 2-1 Arsenal, 2-1 Newcastle. I will not lie, but I've settled with a draw here. I do think it will be Arsenal's fourth draw in the league, which to me, that's too much. If it does end in a draw, I won't be happy because that means we'd have drawn to Fulham, Spurs, Chelsea, and Newcastle. And draws in this league, in today's game, are defeats essentially, with Manchester City at the helm, who can go and lose games, but they will make sure they will go on a run, and that will accumulate more points than you do if you continue, if you go unbeaten but you keep drawing. So yeah, Arsenal should need a win here. Newcastle have a big game against in midweek themselves, so maybe they'll be looking towards that. And if there are some knocks, a little niggles about, will they want to risk them? Who knows? I think they will. The league is their bread and butter, and they are within a chance of finishing within the top four themselves. It's going to be a very competitive league for the top four spaces, I do believe, this season as well. We're still earlier on into there, so the table's beginning to take shape. But Newcastle sitting in sixth, who are 5 points behind Aston Villa in fifth and 6 points behind Liverpool in fourth. So it's a huge game for the Toon Army as well. So yeah, I've gone with a 1-1 draw here. Let me see what you guys and girls have said in the chat in regards to this one. Then we move on to our next fixture, which is Tottenham versus Chelsea. Paxton's gone with a 2-1 Arsenal win. Enns has gone for a 2-1 Newcastle win. Paxton says Newcastle are showing signs of struggle with the Champions League, also in play, but normally bounce back after a bad result. Yes, they usually do. Maybe them picking up that win will lure him into a full sense of security against us. I do hope, but now Man United are in dire strait, and we'll talk about them in much more detail later on. Big up Bargav in here, says, why doesn't the League Cup mean more to us than the FA Cup? Mainly because of the competitions, in terms of the value, the things that you get out of it, the point it is in the season, the disrespect that a lot of managers put on it as well, and the prioritization of winning the other cup competitions with the FA Cup as well, Bargav. It is the oldest cup competition in domestic football and throughout, I think it's throughout the world. I know it's definitely within Europe, but yeah, it is the oldest cup competition out there. So that's why, and the League Cup isn't respected by Ipswich Town, who made 11 changes against Fulham. I mean, I can understand why Premier League managers do make so many changes for that there. But it's a trophy at the end of the day, and I don't think any Arsenal fan should be turning their nose up at it. It's not like we win trophies season in, season out. We're not Manchester City, where they can say, oh, it's all right, we'll probably go win another treble, or we'll definitely win a Premier League or something. Do you know what I mean? So Manchester City, they've won it a lot. Liverpool won it the most. Man United have won it, 6 times as well. So yeah, Arsenal, we shouldn't be turning up our nose at that. Big up, big games, exactly. Shay's gone for a 3-1 Arsenal win. Shay's gone for 2-0. Well, and he says 2-0. My uncle is a Newcastle fan. Big up to yourself, Shay, and big up to your uncle. But I hope he doesn't have a great weekend as Arsenal beat him. Mr. 200 says Ødegaard's form is largely down to the absence of Thomas Partey, something I definitely agree with. Missing that link and that connection, someone who progresses the ball in tight spaces quicker than Declan Rice does out on that right side in particular. And that's why we've seen Zinchenko drift over there, because someone, Declan Rice, is someone who he was a little bit left-sided bias, and we tried to work with him out there and try and get the switches from him to Saka. But yeah, definitely. Pac says, man still said to have a score more goals than DRB. Hey, not looking good so far, Pax. It isn't looking good. But hey, all I'm going to say, long season ahead. Good evening to yourself, Noel. Love to see you in here, and big up to yourself, CCFC OG. Big up, is it Dan? Big up my bro Dan in here too. Love to see you in the chat. I'm all good, my brother. I'm all good. I hope you guys are too. I'd put the number of injuries around the league is down to the World Cup. Definitely agree on that. Miss 200 and the season running on late. Only a couple of weeks rest for the majority of players. Yeah, I don't, not just the World Cup, but with so many games even beforehand and international games, and increasing the competitiveness of them in these international breaks. They're a break for us as fans, but not for the players. Indeed. Big up to yourself. Nah, enjoy. After well, he says, oh, I thought he said he was leaving there to watch Desmond. Sorry, he says sadly I have to go with a Desmond for this one as well. Yeah, Mr. 200. Look forward to seeing your prediction. Maybe you'll change your mind by the time we submit. Hopefully we can, but he's not even a regular starter. He is when he's fit. He is when he's fit, Pax. But he's not fit enough. That's the problem. But yeah, let's move on now into the next game. We're 25 minutes in, and we've only got through one. But let's look at this Monday night game, this London derby. Maurizio Pochettino returning to Spurs, high-flying Spurs who are top of the league, and Ange Postecoglou has been nominated for October's Manager of the Month. Will he get it alongside Arteta is in there? We'll have to wait and see. If he does win it, it'll be his third Manager of the Month in a row. I'm not sure if it has been done previously, but that is something special, very to begin with, at Tottenham, who have been excellent this season. The last time these two clubs met in at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was in 26th of February 2023. Spurs went out 2-0 winners. Who remembers that goal from Oliver Skip in there? That was a great finish to give them the lead and break the deadlock. He was good there. But yeah, these games typically, apart from that, finish with a Chelsea win. Chelsea winning 2-0 and 3-0 out the last time they faced in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and the time before that in a 1-0 victory. So yeah, Chelsea do have a good record here, but have not been in great form themselves. Who lost to Brentford in the Premier League in their last Premier League game, but did beat Blackburn midweek. Blackburn at home. They've had some favourable fixtures and draws in the Carabao Cup, but you still have to win your fixtures, and Chelsea will be looking towards that as they have no Europe this season, as Mauricio Pochettino will want to win a trophy, and something that he didn't win at Tottenham, a trophy. So yeah, both teams this season have a contrast of their beginnings. Spurs, who are top of the league, Chelsea, who are in 11th place, who are top of the bottom half of the table. But yeah, Spurs were top of the actual table. But the injury list for both sides is quite interesting, because what I've seen with Chelsea, the away side, their list is very long, but we will see Mikhailo Mudryk return. Armando Broja could face a late fitness test for this game, for this fixture as well, but they will continue to be without Christopher Nkunku, who should make his first appearance for the Blues after the international break, and it'll be a welcome addition into the squad who they definitely miss, as someone who's going to be in that final third, taking those chances. They do create a lot of chances, Chelsea, but their issue is scoring them, as we saw against Brentford last weekend. So no Nkunku, no Lavia, no Chilwell, no Fofana as well, no Carney Chukwuemeka too. But with Spurs, who have been quite fortunate on the injuries front this season, not losing many key players, they will be without Perisic, Mano Solomon, Ryan Sessegnon, who all remained long-term absentees, Destiny Udogie, who did not play on against Crystal Palace, but he could be fit for here. They will have a late fitness test for the young Italian left back, who has been a key performer, and they will hope to have him fit and available for this game, as it is going to be more difficult than it was at Crystal Palace away from home. And Crystal Palace, arguably in the first half, were the better side. But how do I think this fixture is going to go? So Tottenham I think they will dominate the possession. They will be trying to attack Chelsea, who do have weaknesses of their own. Defensively look more stable and solid. And to be fair, even last season when they were poor defensively, they didn't concede too many goals. But their lack of chance creation last year and finishing left them with the games in a fine balance. And if the opposition did score, they found no way back. But this season, as more of a transition-based side, a lot of intensity in their midfield and their team. I think their midfield epitomizes that with Caicedo, Gallagher, Enzo, a lot of legs, some technical ability in there too. But I think Gallagher's a real epitome of that. The skipper of that team. And that's what Michel Pochettino builds his teams off: running hard, pressing intensely, and a lot of aggression in there. And then we'll try to hit Spurs on the counter attack, who are susceptible. One of the weaknesses from Spurs is definitely their defense and how the risks that they take. If it doesn't go well, they do allow opposition to get chances. But will Chelsea take those chances? That's a big question. But with Spurs, their chance creation going forward, their commitment forward, the two inverted fullbacks, overloading that midfield, having the likes of Richarlison, Kulusevski out, leaving them 1v1 with their fullbacks, and then Son, Maddison, the fullback, the inverted fullbacks in the middle, create chances, get shots off. Will leave Chelsea's chances on the counter attack, of course, but they will cause Chelsea problems. First goal is so important in this type of game for me. It is massive, but I have also gone with a 1-1 draw here in this fixture. Desmond's once again, I can't call it out. I can't call out a winner. If I was going to lean with a winner, though, I'm thinking probably looking towards Chelsea because of the spaces that Tottenham will leave in behind as well. But if Tottenham scored a first goal with the crowd roaring, maybe it's going to be a test of this young Chelsea team's resolve. But I definitely do think that Tottenham could face a knockout blow, their first defeat of the season. But it will be interesting, as I've gone with a 1-1 draw here. Let me see what you guys and girls are saying in the chat. Paxton's gone with a 3-1 Spurs win. Shay's gone with a 3-1 Chelsea win as well. And Enz has gone with a 3-1 Chelsea win. Mr. 200 agreeing with me again, going with the result, but he's gone for a Tottenham 0, Chelsea 0. So he's gone with a 0-0. But score a boring draw. It might not end up like as a boring game. 0-0 doesn't always mean that, but neither team to score in this one here. And then big up Geordie in the place. He says, oh yeah, the lads, big up to yourself, Geordie. Hope you're keeping good and well. And Graham, the Don Jones, big up to yourself, Graham. Big up to the family too as well. Love to see you in here, my brother. Says draw, Spursy incoming. And Geordie's gone with a 3-1 Spurs win. What's your prediction, Drew? What do you think? Tottenham versus Chelsea. What's the score going to be?
Tottenham 0, Chelsea
5. 5-0 Chelsea. Hey, you might be right. If you're right, I'll get you a bottle of Prime, yeah, for that.
Well, what if I'm not right
No,
still?
maybe not. But I'll go pop downstairs. I'll be done. I'll be down there soon.
Make sure it's American.
Okay, make sure it's American Prime. It's going to cost me. This boy's going to cost me even more money. But let's go now into the next fixture of this Premier League preview show. So the next one is Fulham versus Manchester United. That is the first Premier League fixture of game week 11, and it is going to be a very interesting one to watch. 12:30 kickoff here in the UK. And yeah, both sides. Fulham, who did come off the back of their winning the Carabao Cup in midweek, beating Ipswich, a much changed Ipswich side, who have had an interesting start to the season, mixed performances, but they find themselves in 14th place. And Manchester United only 3 points ahead of them in 8th. But it's only 3 points difference. And yeah, they are under a lot of pressure. Eric Ten Hag and the Red Devils right there. But who is going to pull out with a victory here in terms of the lineup? Well, injury news for this. Casemiro, another one with a hamstring injury, with a muscular injury, which didn't, spark that conversation that me and Paxton had earlier on Twitter. Definitely agree with the amount of games that these guys are playing. It is telling its toll. And what Erik ten Hag did do last season was not have much rotation for the United team. He did persist with them in all the Carabao Cups, the FA Cup, and the Europa League. They went far in the Carabao Cup, of course, by winning it, and they reached the final of the FA Cup as well. So a lot of games, a lot of minutes and mileage in the legs of a lot of these players, like Alessandro Martinez, Tyrone Malacia, Luke Shaw, Rafael Varane, Lindelof, who all had a lot of mileage in those legs, who could be out of this game. Victor Lindelof will face a late fitness test, as well as Rafael Varane too. But apparently there's rumours that he had a falling out with Ten Hag after Ten Hag said it was due to tactics why he was dropped against Manchester City, which did baffle me. Definitely baffled me, and caused some unrest, according to rumours that have been out there. But the Athletic have published it as well. Casemiro, who did pick up a hamstring injury after just coming off of an ankle injury himself, will be a big miss for United. But could that make room for Kobbie Mainoo, who has attracting interest from Manchester City? Oh, Sofian Amrabat in the middle of that park there. Questions around Erik ten Hag. He's got huge decisions to make. There's the what I saw being published, and by Neil Custis of that newspaper we do not mention because it's scum. But yeah, Neil Custis saying that he's been given the vote of confidence, which is usually spelling that it might be time for a change. The dreaded vote of confidence by the board, saying that they're not thinking of getting his replacement in, which usually follows off with either a sacking or a mutual agreement to leave. But it will be an interesting game here. Fulham, who will be looking to pounce, very inconsistent themselves, but okay at home. They lost to Chelsea by 2-0, beat Sheffield United by 3-0 as well. So yeah, you never know what to expect with Fulham, a bit like what you never know what to expect with Manchester United nowadays here too. But the last time these two teams faced at Craven Cottage, it was that Garnacho late winner that saved Manchester United just before going into the World Cup break there from dropping 2 points to Fulham. But I think this game is going to end up with a Manchester United defeat, and that I don't think it's going to be the final nail in the coffin for Erik ten Hag. But I do. What would you predict? 2-1 Man United or Fulham? Fulham as well. There you go. So we both gone with a 2-1 victory. I just think the dressing room at Man United is a mess at this moment in time. Can you not mess with that, please? And it is a mess, and they are losing that confidence from Erik ten Hag and that trust with him. And I think it's some of it is down to Erik ten Hag and how he's managed these players in terms of coming out and speaking in the media. How he said about when he took Casemiro off because I wanted to play football. Very, very direct with that and quite rude, I thought. And he was going to upset some players, especially someone of his caliber and his ability, what he's won in the game. Not yet. With Varane talking about tactics rather than to play a 35-year-old Johnny Evans who was previously at West Brom and Leicester as his last two clubs when he left Manchester United. Yeah, and this Jadon Sancho situation, of course, it will ruffle some feathers within the dressing room. Yeah, people will agree and disagree with how he's conducted there. And I was hearing rumours about how he managed Maguire and McTominay in certain situations. So, but yeah, a lot of the issues, of course, the main issues all come from the top with the Glazers. That is definitely the case. But some of the performances on the pitch aren't entirely down to that as well, because Erik ten Hag did finish third with this Man United team and did get them making Old Trafford into a fortress with some sticky away performances. But yeah, he certainly seems to have lost a little bit from the players as well. But yeah, I've gone with a 2-1 Fulham win here. Let's see what you guys and girls have said in the chat. What is it? Enz has gone with a 3-0 Manchester United win. He thinks they're going to respond here quite well. Mr. 200's gone with a 5-0 Chelsea. I take that with what you said there earlier, Drew. Shay's gone with a 3-0 Fulham win. William hat-trick, says Shay. 2-1 Manchester United, says Mr. 200. Ten Hag will be sacked over the international break, but a win might buy him another month. I think a win certainly does do that, because I don't think that the people at the hierarchy at Man United really know what they're doing, to be quite honest with you, Mr. 200. And they just seem to go with it, go with the flow, go with what what the popular decision is at the time. I think the majority of the fan base at United is still sticking with Erik ten Hag, and I understand that. I understand why they do, because they know the issues aren't really about Erik ten Hag, and they're not going to go away instantly with a new manager as well. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a big decision right there for them. But I've gone with a 2-1 Fulham win. Next fixture, and I'll start to pick up the pace a little bit because this one's a bit inevitable. But the reason why I brought Liverpool next, because I just wanted to give them a special mention, because they have been very good this season in terms of scoring the amount of goals. We know some of the issues that they have in that midfield, and do let up a few chances, the opposition does, but they certainly do create a lot. They've got a plethora of options up top. Salah's been in a ridiculous form. I know he's not played great in the last couple of games, but he's leaving every game with either a goal or an assist, creating a lot of chances this season. Whether they have Jota up top, who since he's come back from his suspension, looks like he's getting back to his best, which is definitely a worry. He's a streaky player, bit like Son, bit like Rashford, where he scores his goals in batches, and quite a few of them. But he's a deadly threat to score his left foot, right foot header. We know that. Darwin Nunez, look at the goal he scored against Bournemouth with a terrible first touch, but was able to wrap one in over the top of the goalkeeper and send Liverpool through to the next round. You know, they've got Cody Gakpo in there, Luis Diaz if he returns, and hopefully that his father is all safe and sound. I've not heard much news that there, but if you guys can let me know whilst we're on this live stream. But you know what I mean, they've got a lot of attacking talent, and that's excluding one of the signings of the season alongside James Maddison in Dominic Szoboszlai, who got 2 assists against Nottingham Forest in the last fixture. Liverpool, dangerous team, and they're probably, I think, the most entertaining team to watch this season going forward. They're very direct, and they will transition upon you and in a devastating effect. And I think that they will do the same against Luton as well, who have been respectable, and Jurgen Klopp said he loves Luton's story. Their story from non-league to the Premier League in 8 years, was it? That's massive. That is huge achievement for them. And the likes of Pelly, Ruddock, and Panzu went through all the way from non-league into the Premier League with Luton, the first player to ever do that, playing every single division with one club throughout the professional leagues as well. So big praise for those likes of there and what Rob Edwards has done in really a short space of time. Who's the manager? Who's the Southampton manager? Nathan Jones. Yeah, he was terrible for Southampton, but did lay the groundwork and the foundations there at Luton Town Football Club. But it's going to be they're not going to overcome this test against this Liverpool team in scintillating form. I've gone with a 3-0 Liverpool win, and that's them taking it lightly, with them looking to make some rotation and give other players minutes. Harvey Elliott, I've not even mentioned him too. Ryan Gravenberch has looked on fire in some games, and you expect it in these types of fixtures. Good signings Liverpool have made. Definitely are missing something in that midfield, and they do need to add more of that defensive steel and physicality, which it looks like they will be addressing in January with that Andre from Fluminense as well. So, yeah, it could be if Liverpool keep ticking over, and then if they do get a defensive midfielder in January and he's able to settle in and get the hit the ground running, hey, they're certainly within this title race and this shout. But yeah, Liverpool to win this one by 3-0. What are you guys and girls saying in the chat here? Shay's gone with a 3-1 Liverpool win. He's gone with an 8-0 Liverpool win. Wouldn't surprise you, would it? Wouldn't surprise you indeed. But yeah, and then Mr. 200's gone with the same scoreline as me with a 3-0 win to Liverpool. So let's go now into the next fixture. Another, I'd say, easy one to kind of predict with Manchester City against Bournemouth. Bournemouth picking up a 2-1 win against Burnley in their last fixture. 2 good goals from that one. Charlie Taylor and his channel, I did do Premier League Team of the Week, and he did give that one as the goal of the week there. Go check it out, people. That's why I do suggest to go subscribe to Enz. He grafts hard, man. He works hard on there. A lot of content as well. So yeah, it is good. And it was an honor to join him and Savage on Monday. It was Monday, wasn't it? I think it was. Yeah, when we did discuss the team of the week. But Philip Billing was also a contender for one of the goals of the week. And of course, I didn't care. Yeah, you got player of the week. But I'm spilling too much. You need to go watch the video. But yeah, Bournemouth. Big victory for Andoni Iraola, who I highly rate and I do think is a very good coach. And I like the hipster's choice because of the work he did at Rayo Vallecano, making him into an intense pressing team with an interesting high press, the highest presses in La Liga, and they do it against any opposition. But if you do that against Manchester City with Erling Haaland running in behind, Julian Alvarez, Bernardo Silva, to Doku, hey, they're going to punish you. And I think Man City are going to punish Bournemouth. They're going to slap 4 past them, I think, in this game and win by 4-0 and not concede a goal. Man City returning back to their best. Excellent against Manchester United in that second half. Do look susceptible themselves, though, to some chances created when you do try and transition against them. So I do think that they will drop some points against some tougher opposition. This is an much easier game in their run. They do have the likes of Spurs and Chelsea to play, but he says Chelsea are tough, that tough nowadays. But against the big teams, they are. I mean, Arsenal, we were quite fortunate to get a win against them, so I can't really be sending shots like that. But yeah, I do think Man City will breeze past this one here with a 4-0 win. Team of the week is dope. We do it every Tuesday at 8:30. Hey, big up to yourself, Ends. Yeah, man. Tuesday, that's when we did it because there wasn't a Champions League game. So yeah, check it out at 8:30. And he's also going with a 5-0 Manchester City win. Shay has gone with a 3-1 Bournemouth win. Shay, I'd give you a massive round of applause, man. Hey, you deserve a predictor of the month alone if that was the case, because that's not what it is. Mr. 200 says 4-1 Manchester City. Says Tereak, I think you're copying me. Hey, we've gone with a lot of the similar score lines as well. I know we've definitely gone with the same results today, but at least you've given Bournemouth a goal. I can see it. I can see it happening. Because, as I said, Man City are a bit leaky at the back in terms of chances, but Edison usually pulls them out, and his performance has risen since Stefan Ortega has been brought in. And hey, that's kind of what we wanted from Aaron Ramsdale or David Raya. Doesn't seem like either of them have really leveled up their performances to the world-class level that we want it to be just yet. But yeah, David Raya will continue in goal. I'll probably talk about it in a match reaction tomorrow about that Ramsdale situation, because that game, it wasn't great from Ramsdale from my perspective. But Nottingham Forest versus Aston Villa is the next game that we're going to be talking about. And another one, Aston Villa deserve a special mention because they keep rolling on a bit like Liverpool. Going forward, their attacking threats are dangerous. And it starts from at the back, there with how Villa attack. Pau Torres, the most passes in the Premier League, actually, not just from a defender. Most passes in the Premier League, and that's massive for him because he's where all their attacks start. I'm just gonna double check on that. I know it's definitely as a defender, but the most passes in the Premier League it is not from him. It is not from him. He's not even the most defender. He's not even got the most passes for a defender. I have lied to you there in the Premier League. But it is the most passes for an Aston Villa player. And he is in the top 12 with 659 passes. That's where all their attacks start from. And it starts from him. He's an excellent progressor of the ball into that dynamic and dogged midfield with Douglas Luiz, Boubacar Kamara, and then into the forwards, and then the dynamic forwards who are direct and have an eye for goal with Ollie Watkins. Leon Bailey has been excellent this season. Kind of had a bit of a turnaround within the Aston Villa fan base because they're speaking to some Villa fans, find him quite frustrating at times, and that's with his performances, but with his inconsistency with injuries as well. But Moose, he's really really kicked on since Moussa Diaby's arrival. And I think he's been better than Moussa Diaby, but Moussa Diaby's definitely been good for them. And he was their player, man of the match against Luton. But alongside him and John McGinn, he's found his form, regressed a little bit when Gerrard came in, but since Gerrard's left and Unai Emery stepped through the door, we've seen that dynamic, energetic midfield, making those late runs into the box, showing that quality and composure in and around in the final third from John McGinn. But yeah, he's giving them that real bite and energy back into that midfield. John McGinn, and then they're attacking flying fullbacks to an excellent cross of the ball with Luca Dean and Matty Cash working really good. He's doing a really good job there. Unai Emery, in what it's been a year, I think it would have been a year since he took over now. His first game was against Manchester United in that 3-1 win. But he's had a very good year, Unai Emery. It's sort of club that he's managed well at. And it just goes to show that Arsenal's issues in the changing rooms and from the culture that we created at the club was the thing that was what got him the sack in the end, and why he wasn't able to be successful at Arsenal, in my point of view, and not having that structure in and around him, Unai Emery. So yeah, he did a good job in his first season at Arsenal, getting us to the Europa League final, just missing out of the top four from a few decisions that he made playing Carl Jenkinson and now Nene. But we're talking about Aston Villa here, who has done a good job so far. And they are up against Nottingham Forest, who been mixed form themselves, mixed bag. But I do think that Aston Villa will win this, and it'll be a high-scoring fixture by 3-2. Continue that run of form, continue the amount of goals that they're scoring. And they've scored joint with Newcastle the most goals in the league. Of course, Newcastle's score was big boost by that Sheffield United game, but Aston Villa scored 6 goals against Brighton, against a well-respected team in the league, and they scored quite a few goals. Very good job Unai Emery has done. And we know as Arsenal fans, he does supercharge those attacking stats. We saw Lacazette's best goal-scoring season under Unai Emery. Pierre Aubameyang scoring the most goals he did under Unai Emery, and then even the likes of Pepe, who didn't perform particularly well, he scored quite a few goals under him too. And yeah, Unai Emery is very good at doing that for sure. But what have you guys and girls gone for in the chat? Big up to my brother Joel Blackman in the house, and he says Aston Villa on fire, and he says let me use my manners, please. Could you hit that like button? It really helps out the channel. Thank you. Big up to yourself, Joel, my brother. That go check out Joel Blackman's channel too as well, people. He's got great content. He does non-football content on there as well, my man. But yeah, he does jump on with the Football Power Hour, my man Bots as well, who does a Friday night quiz. We've got plenty of content creators here in the community, and I love to see it all shining here, my brothers. So yeah, great. Thank you for that as well. Take your shoes off and hit that like button as you enter the stream. Rivalry performance. Yes, it is the East Midlands versus the West Midlands, and it's gone with a Forest 2-1 win. So this is the first time that we've gone differently, Mr. 200. And yeah, we'll see who wins on this one. You have had a good performance, in the last few weeks, Mr. 200. You've really picked up your form. You had a slow start to the season, but you've had a good form with your predictions. I will say that. Shay's gone for a 2-1 Villa win here as well. So yes, let's move on now into the next fixtures. We are coming towards the end. We've got 4 more fixtures to go, but we'll quickly blitz through the rest. Everton at home to Brighton and Hove Albion. Everton having a great victory against West Ham away from home. Good performances by Jared Braithwaite, who's a centre-back I highly rate. There's not many good left-footed centre-backs out there at the moment. It's a bit of, a bit like strikers. It's hard to get a left-footed centre-back, but Jared Braithwaite is one I've liked since he made that move from Carlisle to Everton. He wasn't really given many opportunities, had a few loan spells, was out on loan last season to PSV, really kicked on, and Sean Dyche said, you know what, I want to make you a stalwart at my back, a regular, and he's impressed this season, as well as Amadou Onana, who shone in his first season, even under Frank Lampard in his early days at Everton, but he's kicked on, had a brilliant performance, and yeah, a lot of teams, a lot of big clubs, the likes of Man United, Arsenal, I'm sure Liverpool would want him, but yeah, he's an Everton player. But those types of clubs have been looking at Amadou Onana, and Chelsea. Oh, I mean, who aren't Chelsea looking at? But yeah, had a great performance, and their goals have started to come again now that Dominic Calvert-Lewin's back. And what I will say with Everton is they were quite unlucky in the first half of the season. If you guys watch the Premier League preview show and previous ones that we have done, I've championed Everton even in times where they've lost. I didn't champion them last week to get a result away at the London Stadium, but they managed to do so, unlike a certain other club this week. But yeah, now massive credit to Sean Dyche. You have created a lot of chances, and now they're putting the ball in the back of the net. But it will face a tough test against Brighton. Once again, Brighton, a bit like Fulham, but the Gucci Fulham, you don't know what to expect. Which Brighton are going to turn up. They are struggling with the amount of competitions that they're in this season, with being in the Europa League and having injuries in key areas, losing Solly March, Pervis Estupinan, and the likes of that, and losing Caicedo and McAllister. They're real, they're pillars in that midfield that they've missed, and they're sold on for big money, of course. But in terms of the injury news for Brighton, is there any more positives? Pervis Estupinan, a bit too early for him to be fit and available for this game, but could feature next week. It'll be a big plus for them as he dominates that left-hand side by himself. Usually, Hulo and Ciso won't be back until December. Lamptey could return for this one, which he has deputized for Pervis Estupinan when he's been fit and available. But no Danny Welbeck, no Solly March. So it has improved a little bit their injury list, but they will want to hope and get a victory here away at Everton. And will they? I have gone with a Brighton win. I think that they will bounce back against Fulham. That draw against Fulham, disappointing. You've got to be winning those games if you are going to be competing and moving forward and progressing from what you've done from last season. But yeah, they will need to grab a win here, and they can do. But we have to remember, Everton slapped Brighton in their last game, the last time these two teams met in the reverse fixture of last season. Yeah, 5-1. But will they be able to do that again, Everton? Probably not. And Brighton and De Zerbi would have learned their lesson. One of the best coaches in the league, just struggling a little bit to find a bit of consistency. But I think he'll get back on that wagon against Everton. And that's no disrespect to Everton, by the way. Everton, good team. Wouldn't surprise me if they go and win this game. But I want to see if any of you guys and girls in the chat have gone with an Everton win. I don't think yet. Well, Shay has. He's gone for a 2-1 Everton win. Hanno has gone for a 3-1 Brighton win. Agreeing with me there that Brighton will get the 3 points in this one. And Mr. 200 disagreeing with me now when we're not seeing eye to eye anymore. But he's gone for a 2-1 Everton win. We got Robert Doherty in the building. Love to see you in here. Hope you're keeping well. Let me know you support as well. Robert Doherty in here too. It says 2-0 win for Fulham. And hopefully Eric gets his P45. I agree with you on that there, Rob. Don't you worry. At the Stratford end, we sung along with Geordies. Hey, did you? Hey, I'm guessing, are you a Geordie then? Rob, are you a Geordie? Do you mind me calling you Rob? I'll call you Robert. That's what your name is on here. If you mind me calling you Rob, I think you'd have your name there. But now, big up to yourself. Love seeing you here. And yes, Shay is edging his bets. Shay is very brave with his predictions. But if he pulls them off, he's definitely having a good week because not many people go with those predictions there. But let's go into the next fixture. The Bees host West Ham. It is a West versus East London derby. And Rob, definitely, Rob, we'll call you that. But it is an interesting fixture again. Two teams that you don't really know what to expect. Brentford going away from Stamford Bridge, where Thomas Frank said himself that they were average, they weren't great, but they did manage to pick up the victory after riding that storm in that first half in that West London derby, but managed to hit them on the break. I mean, Ethan Pinnock, wonderful header. What a player Ethan Pinnock has been. I did mention when I gave praise to Jared Branthwaite, there aren't many good left-footed centre-backs, but Ethan Pinnock's one of the underrated ones. And will you make a move from Brentford in the summer? I'm not too sure. Brentford are a good club, well run, and they look to and they always they tend to look to improve. They have great scouting. They do this money ball approach, sell players for big, recruit for quite small, and continue to do that. Of course, that does have a shelf life. If you are going to be a sustainable Premier League club, we've seen Southampton thrive through that and then them fall away, and now they're in the Championship. Brighton, we've seen them have a little bit of a regression, but they could eventually take a big knockdown if they continue in that sort of model. But Brentford do recruit well, missing Ivan Toney, no David Raya, and they are still getting wins and having some good performances. West Ham, that Arsenal win was big for them because they were on the back of 3 defeats in a row at home. So West Ham, or was it 3 defeats in a row, in particular 2 in a row at home? I've gone with a draw for this fixture here, though, and I've gone for not a 2-2 draw. I've just given you my result for the next game. Gone for a 1-1 draw. Mohamed Kudus, excellent goal against Arsenal. Jared Bowen, another really good talent who could easily be playing for one of the top sides in Europe, in the league in Europe, especially on that right wing, another area of the pitch that is redundant of premium talent. But Jared Bowen is one of the best ones in the league on that side. But let's see what you guys and girls have said in the chat here. Shay's gone for a 2-1 West Ham win. Rob's gone for a 3-1 West Ham win. Really doing well. Yep, they had a great start to the season, fell off a little bit, but then they picked it up against Arsenal. And that Arsenal result could pick them, really gain a bit of momentum and get the confidence flowing back through the team. Lucas Paqueta, he was a joke. He played that game like he wanted to prove himself, like he wanted to say, hey, Mikel Arteta, you want to sign me next season? You took my boy Declan. You want to try and get me? Arteta has had the rumoured interest in him as well, but as well as Manchester City, who were looking to sign him until that betting allegation and investigations went underway, and they said, no, thank you. Paxton's gone for a 1-0 West Ham win there. Mr. 200's gone for a 2-0 a Brentford win on this here. Enz has gone for a 3-1 West Ham win. Paxton had to get off the phone with the GF quickly. Hey, big up my bro, man. Hey, love to hear that, man. Like, that's what I like to hear. Hashtag why always be. Hey, don't you worry, man. Don't you worry. Yeah, you haven't missed you missed the fun of us talking about Man United packs, which you probably don't want to hear anyway. Enz also predicted for the Brighton game. He said 3-2 Brighton and 3-1 Villa. There, he's at work listening, but can't put my score. No, don't apologize, man. I really appreciate that there, my man. As well, Brentford 2-0 and West Ham 2. Right, wait, Mr. 200, what are you going for, my lad? I've seen a 2-0 Brentford, 2-0 West Ham. Hey, you'll let me know in the comment section, as will all of you. I do hope. If you do want to enter the predictions league, guys, drop your predictions into the comment section. Even if you've entered late and you're like, I'm too late. Predictor of the month, we are just about to begin, and we will get into the winner of the predictor of the month as well. But let's go on into the next game, which you already saw the result of if you were keen and if you were watching and you weren't listening, if you were paying attention. But Burnley versus Crystal Palace, huge game from Vincent Kompany and a big game for Roy Hodgson, who did apologize after calling out the likes of a Raksaki, Mateus Franca, and Nairo Ahamada, I think that's his first name. I do apologize if I've got it wrong. But yeah, Amada Franca and Raksaki. After his damning comments about the young lads, and he has apologized for it, and rightly so, because it did draw a big reaction from the Crystal Palace faithful. But Burnley at home, Vincent Kompany, poor start to the season, will want to try and get his second win of the season. I do apologize. They did beat Luton in one of them games in hand. There was one of the cancelled games, but they did grab that win there. They will want to grab a win here and try and climb up that table and try and increase their chances for survival of both teams. As Palace, who are sitting in 13th place, who are 5+2, 7 points ahead of the relegation zone, above 7 points ahead of Luton, and who most likely won't get a result against Liverpool, but against Burnley, who have got 4 points to the name. If they do grab a win with Luton playing Liverpool, Bournemouth playing Man City, could escape the relegation zone as well. So yeah, it will be a huge game for the Clarets right there. But I've gone for an entertaining 2-2 draw as this 3:00 kickoff. I've gone for a lot of draws this weekend. Hopefully they're going to pull through. I don't tend to go for draws. I tend to go for a lot of wins, but this weekend in particular, because a lot of teams in and around each other at the same level. If I did have to edge a win, I would probably look at the Eagles because of what Roy Hodgson's done with them defensively. They look stronger. They have had a lot of injuries themselves, though, and that's where I think they've had those kind of dips. But Eze is back. Elise is back. I'm not sure they will start, but if they do play a key role in this game, well, Elise is getting back. He's not quite there yet, but he's taking part in training, not fit enough to be involved in the squad, though, says Roy Hodgson. But Eze is back and he's fit and available. If he can get key minutes, maybe I might I think for a Crystal Palace win. But Tyreek Mitchell will return after that thigh injury that he felt in the Tottenham game, but he was taken off more to do with the precaution. And we know with Crystal Palace, they do not have another left back of his level in and around there as well. There's not really, I'm going to say it again, another really position in the world that's redundant of a lot of premium talent, especially in the league. Left centre back, left back, right wing. I've said it nearly all half the pitch now, half the players on the pitch. But those three areas definitely not many top talents there. But Tyreek Mitchell is one of the good talents in the Premier League in that position. And now we'll go for the final game: Sheffield United at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Good news for Wolverhampton Wanderers fans, though. Sorry, before I do go there, sorry, I forgot to talk about your predictions, guys, in the chat. Rob says 1-1 draw all over for this Palace versus a Burnley game, or other way around. Gave him the wrong prediction, had to change it to a West Ham win. Fair enough, Mr. 200. Burnley 1, Crystal Palace 0. Woy calling out the youth was bang out of order. Absolutely. Yeah, I saw you tag Rich on that actually on Twitter, and definitely agree it is bang out of order. Burnley 1, Crystal Palace 3, says Mr. 200. Ends has gone for the same scoreline and result as me with a 2-2 draw. Agree. If pushed, think Palace would sneak a win. Yeah, if there is a winner, Rob, definitely agree, because you just think that they're a bit more defensively sound. Don't concede as many from set pieces, and having the likes of Eze, star talent, Edouard, when he's on his form, he can find the back of the net, and you can trust him to do that more than the Burnley players. But yeah, Burnley do play. They do play open football, and they are susceptible to counter attacks. Whereas Woy shuts up shop a little bit more. And Shea's gone for a Burnley 1-0 win as well. And then the final game. Good news for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Pedro Neto is that hamstring injury isn't as bad as first feared. Should return before the end of the year. So we're not going to be looking him to see if he's returning back in November, really. But they haven't really given a timeline on that. They've just said before the end of the year. That's what we're going to be hoping for. So it's more of a grade 2 injury that it can heal, and it's not a major grade 2 that doesn't require surgery. So it should be back and available for them as well. So that's big for Wolves. He's been one of the players of the season, definitely so far. At Arsenal sniffing around, but they would have hoped to get big money, and they still can. Of course, if he does return before the end of the year and he returns back to that form, hey, Arsenal will still want to have a sniff at him. I'm sure. Pause again, not like that. Come on. With Sheffield United after that 5-0 defeat, they are shocking. They are a terrible team, and because they are without Ruben Neto, I've gone with a 1-1 draw. Sheffield United to be able to grab a draw here, they will once again want to grab a win. They've got 0 wins to their name, only a point. They will double their tally if they get a draw here. I shouldn't laugh, because if they do grab a win, they will be level on points with Burnley, still not out of the relegation zone. But Wolves, sitting in 12th, will want to try and steer themselves away, as this is a fixture. If you are without Ruben Neto, Pedro Neto, that you can go, you should be hoping that you should be able to edge over the line with it without him. They're a well-drilled side. Gary O'Neill's done a fantastic job. A lot of people's favourites to go down. Hey, not me, but I did say Fulham would go down, and then they're not really there either. So you win some, you lose some, and Paxton's going to remind you. I said Havertz to score more goals than Diaby. I already know you were typing it, Pax, and as he sent it in, no, he hasn't. But yeah, sitting on the fence, FC. That's what he's called me. I'll take that. But yeah, Rob's gone for a 1-0 Wolves win. Hey, I like to see that there. 1-0 Wolves. If they nick that win, it'll be huge. Mr. 200 has gone for a 2-1 Wolves win as well. Guys, this is interesting. You guys have actually gone for the win for Wolves there. I've sat on the fence now for how many predictions in a row? 1, 2, 3 in a row. And I've gone for 5 draws overall this weekend, including my own team. So yeah, guys, that does wrap up the preview show here. But I will get into the predictions league and the predictor of the month. This was the table last week before I added and totaled up your predictions. And the table is now Manchester is still 11 points clear away from Moss and Pax. Pax and Moss have the same amount of points. Pax picked up a nice, decent 7 points, and he caught right up to Moss. But Moss still edging him over on correct scores. He's got 14, and Paxton has 10. I'm in 4th position. Back into the top 4. I've been in and out of that top 4 position with 75 points, 2 points away from Pax and Moss, but still quite 12 points away. Well, 13 points, away from Mange at the top. Mr. 200, as I said, you are in good form. You're climbing up that league table, 64 points, 11 points away from myself. But you will, I'm sure, with your form recently, you will be catching us up there. Slow start to the season, but you are looking to have a strong run right now. Alicia, my sister, with 54 points right there. Still a bit of a gap, but yeah. She entered late into the season, probably about 4 games in, I do believe. I do have her predictions and I told them up, but I should really put them in the comment section for you guys and girls to see. But yeah, she's on 54. King on 50. Will from 34. Shay also started very late. I think he started in like game week 7, but he's got 30 points there. And he had a very good month, by the way, Shay did. But he didn't have a good enough month, unfortunately, to beat Mange, who did win the predictor of the month. Who was not closely-ish. I mean, yeah, let's be honest, it's 2 correct results and it swings the other way for Pax, and Pax wins it. So yeah, it is close. Mange wins this month, well, the October predictor of the month, and he did get a gift card. It was a £20 gift card from Prezi, so he gets to choose it on the likes of ASOS and those things there. ASOS, I think Asda, if he wanted to, JD. But yeah, he did get his gift card there, £20 gift card, and that was for the predictor of the month. So big up to Mange for that there. Let the people know that you did do it. I actually give out prizes in this time. So yeah, Mange, congratulations, my man. Paxton, close, well fought. You had a fantastic month as well, my brother. You had a bit of a slow start, but you were never really out of the title contention. So yeah, congratulations, Pax, as well. 2nd place. Maybe you can do that next month. You can get there. Moss had a strong one, and maybe he could have won it if he did decide to predict last weekend. But yeah, big result there for Mange. Big up to yourself. And that does conclude our Premier League preview show. Massive congratulations to Mange. And if you want to enter November's predictor of the month, make sure you get your predictions into the comment section at the end of the stream. That includes all of you, even if you have done them. Also, if you could just copy them, even if you want to change your predictions, as long as they're done by the 12:30 kickoff, Fulham versus Manchester United, you'll be entered for everyone, and then I'll calculate them, total them up, and then yeah, you'll be involved in the predictions league where you'll have a bit multiple prizes will be given away. And for those who want to be involved in the predictor of the month, do you want to be involved in predictor of the month, Drew?
What's that?
Hey, it's where you can get prizes as well.
Yeah, but I don't think that's 500 milliliters.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I will wrap this up now, guys. Love to you all. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button as well if you haven't done so already. Subscribe if you are new. Share the channel to your friends and family and to your other fellow subscribers if you are a content creator. It will definitely help as well, people. Rob says £20 at JD won't go far. Bought my twins a football costing almost £40. Oh my day, you are right. It doesn't go too far. You could probably get yourself a cap. That's about it. But yeah, it's true there. £20 off for the shopping though, it's not too bad. And was that a Premier League football, Rob? Oh my word, that is a lot. Paxton said he'll take 2nd place too. And yeah, Mr. 200 missed a couple of weeks. And yeah, remember to like, subscribe. Currently on 742. Can we get 800 by the end of November? That's a tough challenge right there. I'll have to work my socks off. But you are right, Pax. Can we do it? Can we get him? Hey, Rob, a massive appreciation. TTF, give him a big welcome. Rob, we do also have a Discord, a server, if you are familiar with that. It's basically like a big group chat where you can keep up to date with the latest going on. And yeah, we have plenty of channels on there that I'm sure you like to get involved in. Because here on Tereak Talks, I don't just talk football. I talk you know, when we do with the watch alongs, food and TV shows, as you guys know now as well. But yeah, I've got my little nephew here. Do you want to say good night to them?
Good night.
Hey, take care, people. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully, Arsenal grab those 3 points. But guys, you take care. Love to you all, and God bless. We're out. Peace.